individuals fail in life is because they fail to do this one thing. And in this new year, people will make all kinds of resolutions. They will go on every type of spiritual quest. They will come to the conclusion that they must do things differently in their lives. But the question is, when will they get started? I'm Tyrone Bowman, your inspirational, motivational teacher. Tonight, I want to begin a topic entitled, quote, Definiteness of Purpose, close quote. And I'm teaching from Napoleon Hill's book entitled Think and Grow Rich. I've already put the citation in the caption, and I'm going to take my time talking about this because it's so important. It's so important until I've got to make sure that people really understand. If you continuously allow yourself to be limited by what you perceive to be limitations that people will try to place on you or the ones that you place in your own mind, you're always going to be left behind in life. And doors and opportunities that could be yours, they'll never be able to come to you because you haven't come to the conclusion as to what you want to do. Quote, what do you want most? Is it money, fame, power, contentment, personality, peace of mind, happiness? Close quote. Let me quote something else from this book. Quote, the 13 steps to riches described in this book, spoken parenthesis, Think and Grow Rich, offer the shortest dependable philosophy of individual achievement ever presented to the benefit or for the benefit of the man or woman who is searching for a definite goal in life. Close quote. So what do you really want? I have found out that most people cannot make up their minds. That's the biggest thing and the hardest thing for a lot of people to do is to make a decision. Quote, truly, quote, thoughts are things, close quote, and powerful things at that, when they are mixed with definiteness of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire for their translation into riches or other material objects, close quote. What do you want? This is the starting point right here. The starting point to anything in life, one's mind. Now, what I'm talking about might not be for everybody because a lot of people, they don't want to change their way of thinking. They don't want to change their way of doing things in life. They find it relatively easy just to complain and whine and groan and think that it's mere luck that people are going to get what they want in life. And that is not true. You got to get started. Just like if a person desires to lose weight, as an example, they got to make up in their mind that they're going to do it. Now, the method and the ways and the how will come later. One just has to make up in his or her own mind. What do you really want to be, to do, and to have in life? What are your goals? What are your plans? What are your purposes? Everyone has a mind. We all have hundreds of thousands of thoughts that are constantly roaming through our minds on a daily basis. And yet individuals don't even think about those thoughts. Before we can speak something out of our mouths, we've already thought it in our minds. Before we can act upon doing something, we thought it out in our minds. That's what planning is. Planning is the ability to take your thoughts, put them on paper, or organize them in your mind, then put them into action. The easiest thing in life it is to give up, to quit, surrender, and throw in the towel. And too many people have done that. Now, here's something the late Napoleon Hill said. Quote, a great many years ago, now you got to understand the context in which this book was written. This book was written in the latter part of the 20s going into the early 30s. So the language might be different, the terminology might be different, and even some of the examples that he gives might be different. It was written during racism, Jim Crow, bigotry, segregation. And even in today's world, these principles will work if you work with them. One of the most self-positive psychological books I've ever studied in my life is the Bible. Yes. It is filled with so many things psychologically that can change your mind and cause you to become a better human being and cause you to be able to find success or failure, heaven or hell, prosperity or poverty. The choice and the decision is yours. I've made up in my mind to let all the negative things go. Quote, success comes to those who become success conscious. Close quote. That is a stipulated fact. If you think about success, if you dream about success, if you have successful thoughts in your mind, somebody says, well, Tyrone, what about all the negative stuff that happens in life? That's the reason why you stay stuck. Because that's what you keep thinking about. That's what you keep focusing on. Every negative thing, every wrong thing, everything that could ever not happen, that's where your mind is at, and that's why you're stuck in the quagmire of poverty. Poverty and prosperity start in the mind. Health and sickness start in the mind. Wealth and riches start in the mind. Failure or success start in the mind. You and I have to make a decision what to accept and what to reject. The choice is yours. A lot of people don't like to hear this type of teaching, but it's true. The choice is yours. Stop blaming everything, everyone, and everybody for your failure and accept self-responsibility for your own failure. Stop blaming it on your lifestyle. Stop blaming it on what you didn't have. Stop blaming it on the fact that you can't do this, you can't do that. I told someone during the quote-unquote holiday season, I said, Christmas is not so merry if you don't have any money to make it merry. The holiday won't be so happy if you don't have any money to make the holiday happy. So, quote, success comes to those who become success conscious. What is your conscious? You have a conscious and a subconscious. The conscious is the surface part, which is the soulish part of the mind, the psyche. The subconscious is your spirit, the inner being of you and I. I could raise every excuse for failure. I could be here on YouTube doing all the kind of stuff that everybody else is doing if I chose to do it. But I chose not to. I cover stories, I do all this type of thing, but in the context of responsible journalism. I'm going to get this next quote in. Quote, failure comes to those who indifferently allow themselves to become failure conscious. Close quote. Failure comes to those who indifferently allow themselves to become failure conscious. Close quote. If you think that you can't do it, you won't. If you think you are defeated, you are. If you think that you're worth nothing, you're not. If you think somebody has a magic wine or magic pill and all that kind of stuff, If you think somebody has something that you don't have, and if you think that other people can do things, I know people who come from all types of money, yet they're poor when it comes to their morals. They're poor when it comes to their thinking. They're poor when it comes to their creative and ideological state of mind, because all they have is money. They haven't developed who they are. So, quote, failure comes to those who indifferently allow themselves to become failure conscious. And if you keep thinking about failure and keep accepting it, then that's what you're going to have in this life. Being jealous of somebody that's wealthy is not going to help your cause. Hating somebody because of their status in life is not going to help your cause. Let me quote something to you. In the archaic King James Version of Scripture, next time I come on, I'll quote it from a different version. But this is the archaic version from the 4th chapter of the book of Philippians. Verse number 8, quote, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on those things. That's from the Bible. Think on those things. What are you thinking about? What are you meditating on? What are you accepting? What are you allowing individuals to bring into the subconscious part of your mind? What are you speaking out of your mouth based upon the thoughts that you constantly speak to yourself? Make a decision. That's how you get started on the road to success, the road to prosperity, the road to good health, the road to having plenty of money, the road to a good education, the road to a different prosperous career. You got to make up your mind. And if you can't make up your mind that you want to start doing things differently, society will make up your mind for you. They will statistically marginalize you and put you in that box called failure, that box called, quote, close quote, those people, that box of gentrification, that box that says, don't you think it, because you won't be able to do it. I can achieve anything that anybody else can do. Till next time, your inspirational, motivational teacher. Never surrender, never quit.